After meetings with US President Donald Trump and key politicians from his administration, Karol Nawrocki spoke to representatives of the Polish-American community. The 3rd of May parade in Chicago, the largest foreign celebration of the 3rd of May Constitution Day, has been held continuously since 1892 in the largest Polish-American community in the world. We preserve Polish culture primarily here in Chicago. Our parents raised us in a Polish way, and we want to continue Polish traditions here in America. This year, Polish Citizens presidential candidate Karol Nawrocki met parade participants. These meetings with the Polish community, the wonderful Polish community that cherishes the care of historical memory, also shows what a beautiful value, what a beautiful cause Poland is, and in Poland and so far from the borders of Poland. The Polish-American community received Karol Nawrocki extremely warmly. There was no shortage of handshakes and commemorative photos. That's why, with his visit and his run in the upcoming elections, many Poles living overseas have high hopes. America has always been our ally, and hopefully we will vote for the right-wing candidates who are closer, because he doesn't want to point to one candidate, but who are closer to Polish-American relations than to EU relations, which, unfortunately, are what they are. So definitely most people will vote for Karol Nawrocki, as far as I know. It is very important that the future president of Poland continue this work, because today the only guarantor of Polish-American relations is President Andrzej Duda. So we today face an election whether these relations written also in this memorial will continue, and whether Poland with the United States will build a strong North Atlantic alliance and our beautiful future. That's why there was tremendous interest in the presence of the presidential candidate at this important event for the Polish community. But there was also a group of his opponents. There were only a handful of them, some carrying a banner with the vulgar slogan of 8 asterisks. The left-liberal media took advantage of the presence of opponents of the Citizens' presidential candidate Karol Nawrocki to attack him. It was loud, there was confusion, just such use of a charity event for a political rally. And I didn't like it very much. I don't belong to any organizations. I don't want to make political statements. I just want to say that it was, in my opinion, very rude. This is a supposedly non-political comment on Karol Nawrocki's participation in a charity breakfast held before the main festivities. However, as it turned out, the author of these words is known for her political activism. She supported Rafał Trzaskowski 5 years ago and Adam Bodnar 2 years ago. She took photos as Lech Wałęsa and sat on the election committee in Chicago, reported by the Civic Coalition's election committee. Now, guess why Paweł Zuchowski didn't ask Mrs. Almodovar about her political involvement, and that her statements most likely stem from the fact that she supports Trzaskowski. Free media, free jokes. And this is an excerpt from the programme Polish Flowers on illegal Polish television in liquidation, and the mockery of the presenters of the meeting between Karol Nawrocki and US President Donald Trump.
I robimy tak. Może teraz tutaj? Uwaga. I jeszcze dla Państwa specjalnie.
Oh yes, very funny. They're afraid of this White House meeting. They know that Poles respect this Polish-American alliance, and Karol has an open door to the White House. There were flocks of media and journalists tasked to say that it was in fact ridiculous. It meant nothing, and it is not at all clear what was accomplished here. At the end, out of desperation, they have even gone so far as to say that it was an embarrassment because he met Trump. So much so that in fact Donald Tusk and Radosław Sikorski would very much like to meet Trump, because after all, other politicians like French President Emmanuel Macron and UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer are meeting him, and they cared a lot about it. 6 months ago, the votes of the Polish-American community were successfully sought by Donald Trump, who, thanks in part to the votes of Poles living overseas, was elected President of the United States. Now the same people will help to determine who wins the elections in Poland. These are thousands of people. Most of them are adults who read Polish newspapers. Through the internet, we have such opportunities. We read, we watch what's going on in real time, and all of them are actually going to vote. Most of them already have their candidate. We will vote, of course, for Mr. Karol Nawrocki. Why did this candidate convince you? Beautiful behavior, a beautiful way of expressing himself about Poland. the most beautiful view. During his visit to the United States, Karol Nawrocki met not only the Polish-American community, but also the most important person in the United States, the host of the White House, Donald Trump. President Trump said, "You will win." I read it as a kind of wishing me success in the upcoming elections. Karol Nawrocki's visit to the White House lasted 7 hours. During that time, he also met key politicians, Secretary of State Mark Rubio, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, Robert Kennedy Jr., who is in charge of the Department of Health and Human Services, House of Representatives Speaker Mike Johnson, Jim Jordan, who chairs the House of Representatives Judiciary Committee, Domestic Policy Council Director Vince Haley, and Susie Wiles, White House Chief of Staff.
Dziękuję serdecznie, dziękuję.
Incidents took place on many sections protected by the Podlasie Border Guard Unit. A very large number of attempts to illegally cross the border took place on the border rivers, through Svislacz to the north, through the Wokuszanka River and the Augustów Canal. Unfortunately, there was aggressive behavior on the part of those who tried to illegally cross our country's border. Aggressive migrants attacked border guards with stones and tree branches. Assaults took place at various points along the border. Migration pressure from Belarus is not decreasing. Since the beginning of the year, there have been over 6,000 attempts to illegally cross the Polish border.
The world's most famous and most impregnable prison, Alcatraz. In the past, this prison housed the United States' most dangerous criminals. Now, it may reopen. US President Donald Trump has plans to resurrect Alcatraz.
It's long been a symbol, Alcatraz, of whatever it is. I mean, you know, it's a sad symbol, but it's a symbol of law and order. And, you know, it's got quite a history, frankly. So I think we're going to do that, and we're looking at it right now.
Trump has already ordered the prison department to cooperate with the Justice Department and the FBI. The goal is to rebuild and modernize the prison. Alcatraz Federal Penitentiary was built in the early 20th century and now requires modern security measures and a sizable investment to function in the modern day. But according to Trump, America needs to keep the most dangerous criminals away from society.
Just an idea I've had, and I guess because the judges, so many of these radicalized judges, they want to have trials for every single, think of it, every single person that's in our country illegally, that came in illegally. That would mean millions of trials, and it's just so ridiculous what's happening.
For now, it's just a plan. Careful calculations are needed to determine whether such an investment will pay off. However, Donald Trump takes fighting crime seriously.
The president says he wants to reopen Alcatraz because he's frustrated with judges who have placed roadblocks on parts of his agenda, especially on immigration.
The president has said he wants to reopen Alcatraz because it upsets him that for years the biggest criminals have been indulged, and they deserve the harshest prison conditions. The complex is located on the west coast of the United States on California's Alcatraz Island, surrounded by the waters of San Francisco Bay. The maximum security prison operated between 1934 and 1963. It was here that America's most famous mobster, Al Capone, was imprisoned. The prison was closed because of high maintenance costs. Inmates, guards, and food had to be transported by boat. Today it is a museum and a special tourist attraction, visited annually by more than 1 million thrill-seeking tourists from around the world.
It's definitely one of the most touristy things you can do in San Francisco. I think it is 1,000 times worth it, at least once. So I hope you get to check out Alcatraz one day.
Alcatraz has long had a reputation as a prison from which it was impossible to escape. High walls, guards armed to the teeth into the chilly waters of San Francisco Bay effectively dissuaded most attempts at a prison break. All of them except one. John Morris and the Anglin brothers escaped on the night of June 11, 1962, leaving decoy heads made from plaster on their beds covered with blankets. Whether they succeeded or died in the waters of San Francisco Bay remains unknown to this day.
No one has ever escaped from Alcatraz.
I'm in.
Me too. And no one ever will.
The Rock is the most famous and was the most feared prison ever built.
A new chapter in the story of Alcatraz is being written today by Donald Trump. Alcatraz may once again become a fortress and a place of confinement for America's worst criminals.
The trial of a hip-hop icon and billionaire Sean Combs, known as Diddy, has begun. Jury selection in a New York City court. This is the first step in the just-started trial of the famous rapper and music mogul. Members of the jury will be anonymous to avoid potential threats and harassment. The parties will issue statements next week, and hearings will begin. The details of the indictment, which is more than a dozen pages long, are striking.
Today I'm announcing the unsealing of a 3-count indictment, charging Sean Combs with racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, interstate transportation for prostitution. The indictment alleges that between at least 2008 and the present, Combs abused, threatened, and coerced victims to fulfill his sexual desires, protect his reputation, and conceal his conduct.
Combs pleaded not guilty and rejected a plea deal offered by the prosecution, opening the door to a trial. As many as 120 people have accused the rapper of harassment alone. One of them is Thalia Graves.
The trauma of the assault has taken a toll on my mental health. I've had PTSD, depression, and anxiety. I'm emotionally scarred. It has been hard for me to trust others, to form healthy relationships, or even feel safe in my own skin.
According to the lawyer representing the victims, the youngest was said to be only 9 years old. The minors were enticed with promises of a music career, which turned into a horror of sexual violence.
Here, however, I think it's much different because I think the case has become the celebrity. It's not really P. Diddy anymore. It's the salacious allegations, the egregious conduct, which have not completely but largely tainted his celebrity status. So now it's about, hey, can we get jurors that can maybe put aside what they've read or their personal animus and focus on the facts.
Diddy was arrested last September. Since then, he has been in custody under special supervision for those with suicidal tendencies.
So we made a bail appeal to Judge Carter. It did not go our way. The fight continues. We're not giving up by a long shot. I told Mr. Combs I'm going to try and get his case to trial as quickly as possible.
Several months before his arrest, the Department of Homeland Security conducted simultaneous raids on Sean Combs' homes in Los Angeles and Miami. Officers secured weapons and drugs, among other items. They found secret rooms, surveillance cameras, erotic toys, and thousands of bottles of baby oil. Back in 2002, in an interview, the events at his properties and the behavior of those involved were described by Diddy this way.
They just, so you have, if you don't have what they need, they're gonna leave.
Right.
Got to keep them there.
Right.
You need locks on the doors.
Okay, this is sounding kind of dangerous now.
It's a little kinky, but rock with me. But just check it out. You need a lot of heat.
The rapper's longtime partner, Cassandra Ventura, has also fallen victim. The artist revealed that she was repeatedly raped and beaten by her former partner for 10 years. Her words are supported by a video from 2016, which was published by CNN television. Diddy explained then as follows.
I was fucked up. I mean, I hit rock bottom. But I make no excuses. My behavior on that video is inexcusable. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video. I'm disgusted.
Many of the business partners and organizations the rapper has worked with have cut him off. Most of his professional colleagues are reluctant to comment on the case.
No, I feel for his children. The rest I can't speak on. I mean, that's what we got court system for, but I feel for his kids.
You know what? I'm gonna tell you. When anybody asks me my opinion on Diddy, you know what my opinion is? I have none. I ain't got no answers for a Diddy question. None.
The trial is expected to last at least 8 weeks.